Welcome back, viewers at home. You're still tuned in right here on INX Prime Channel 345. Now, all things current affairs this evening, a week since Israeli football hooligans descended on the Dutch capital of the Amsterdam, and the fallout has continued from the violence of days leading up to and after the UEFA Europa League fixture between Ajax Amsterdam and Maccabi Tel Aviv, which then proceeded with, Israeli hooligans chanting anti-Arab slogans, tore down Palestinian flags from private buildings, and attacked Amsterdam Muslims on the streets. Now, when they retaliated, Israeli and Western media outlets were quick to label their actions as, anti-Semitic, with the Dutch authorities banning public protest. However, in defiance of the ban, pro-Palestinian rallies have continued to take place, leading to hundreds of arrests. Now, the key question tonight that we wonder is, why is a team from a country committing genocide allowed to take part in international sporting events? Now, my guest to shed more light for us this evening is Hassen Lorgat from the Palestine Solidarity Alliance, and he joins me now. Assalamu alaikum, Hassan. Jazakallah so much for joining us.
Walaikum salam, and thank you for having me.
Now, my first question this evening, are you surprised at all at where the narrative has landed? We went from, Israelis being named as hooligans to suddenly it being an anti-Semitic situation.
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, I think since South Africa took the case the beginning of this year at the ICJ against Israel, their halo, the fact that they were the only victims in the world, burst. And everyone began to see, for the first time, really, after years, 75 years of murdering Palestinians, for the first time, people began to see that these are not victims. In fact, the case was so important in that it universalized our condemnation against those who for many years pretended or purported to be victims when they were the aggressors when it comes to Palestinians. Of course, Jewish people, not the Israeli state, were victims of the Nazi Holocaust, and that we remain in strong condemnation of. But what has happened after they were responsible for killing 344 Palestinian footballers, after killing 43,000 citizens, Palestinians in Gaza mainly, they could not get away from this image that they were the nasty and bad people. And they knew that European civil society was on the side of Palestinians. Whenever they go in Europe, mass protests, even bigger than South Africa, were held in Europe, and people were condemning the genocide. In fact, the image that you are showing on your screen now refers to how Maccabi Tel Aviv people were chasing Palestinians. But the BBC, for some reason, put it out as if this was Palestinians chasing the Maccabi Haifa fans. In fact, the person who shot those images, the initial images, told the BBC to withdraw them because they were distorting and they were using his name, his image, to perpetrate a lie. So I really think that they've tried to recuperate the victim status. The European chief, Ursula von der Leyen, when she heard this, she said she was outraged. She said on X that these vile attacks are attacking Israeli citizens in Amsterdam. Right? I strongly condemn these. It's unacceptable. Anti-Semitism has no place in Europe. But, after a few days, the truth came out that it was the Maccabi Haifa fans, with the support of Mossad and others, who terrorized citizens, who took off their posters, took off the banners. There's a great image there where they pull it off. And the taxi driver who was recording it was attacked. And of course, he called on his fellow taxi comrades. I think he was an Arab origin person. And they started giving it back. And it's that point when they were starting to be beaten up by strong working people in the streets of Amsterdam that they resorted to calling this a pogrom and anti-Semitic. But the truth is, it's taking away the Holocaust or against the Palestinians. That is also a Holocaust, but perpetrated by the Israeli state. It's taking away the focus on that. We are now talking about the small thing, ignoring the fact that 43,000 people have been killed, more than half women and children. In fact, I wrote a poem where I was shocked to learn that in a long document that the Gaza Health Ministry wrote, that of the 11,300 children that were identified as being killed, 710 of them did not even make 1 year old. That means they didn't make one birthday. How can these young kids fit into Hamas uniforms? How can they be fighters? It's clear. Israel's goal is ethnic cleansing. They want to keep the siege of the north. They want to have no people there, no Palestinians there, so they can use it initially as a security buffer zone and then populate it with zealots, settlers who would try and achieve the goals of the greater Eretz Israel. But I don't think that we should allow that. But people are dying and they are starving. And I heard in your early program, we all ask ourselves, what more can we do?
You know, Mr. Hassan, when we are seeing what is happening, it's always something that we're trying to make sense of. Because, I mean, reading the historics of, you know, how Pharaoh was to his people, and it felt like, okay, that's something of the past. But seeing, you know, the past repeats itself, where you're seeing Israelis continuing, creating such disruptions and killing, as you mentioned, kids who haven't even made it to 12 months. It's quite scary. Now, Mr. Hassan, if I can continue asking in terms of, we're seeing that the protests have continued despite the ban. Are they also protesting against the fact that, you know, the government is taking away their only right to protest?
I think European civil society has been quite resilient. They've been signing the campaign of the BDS. Millions of people have been organizing to give a red card to Israel. And they tried over a long period to ban BDS. They wanted to ban concepts such as the concept they want to ban is boycott. I mean, this is a philosophical concept. It's a program of action, but they want to ban it. You know, they've not succeeded. And I think that we are living in a really bad moment where the right-wing fascist groups are uniting. A lot of these people, like the Prime Minister of Holland, is a fascist, is a Nazi, right? Ordinarily, these guys don't love Jewish people. They hate Jewish people, but they love Israel. Because Israel is there to sell arms, technologies of repression, and worried about other things than the love for people living together. Jewish people and Muslim people have lived for years together. In the best time of Islam, Jewish people were present. But I think what's happened here, these guys want to create hate, and once they create hate, they will try and divide Muslims as well. But clearly the people of Europe are not stupid, and they've seen this Holocaust, the most recorded genocide in the world. There have never been such a recorded one. All the things we see in Hollywood has done nothing about Gaza. But all the movies we saw with the Second World War and all that is recorded after, with the footage was used after these things happened. Here we see as they happen live. And that is the biggest problem that the Israelis can't face. So when they go there, they're already angry. And they think they can act with impunity in Gaza, in Lebanon, in the West Bank, where they can continuously steal land in the West Bank, occupying rooftops against people. That is the story that we must talk about. This football is a distraction. Of course, I love the game. Many of us love sport. But what we need to do is to make sure that those who love sport and don't love killing cannot play with us. But it's going to be a long while. What FIFA has done, they've had no courage to kick these people out. What we have agreed is that we have to decentralize the struggle. Wherever they go, we will have to follow them and make it tough for them. There were at least 10,000 security people there, inside the stadium, outside the stadium, perimeters there, 10,000. And if you looked at the match last night, a part of it I had to see what was happening. The stadium was empty. Because Israel is a colonial outpost. It's a European country, or at least pretend to be a European country in the Middle East. It was imposed on the people there, and that they've got to find solutions with their neighbors. But trying to play football in Europe while you're killing your neighbor, your Semitic brother and sister, is not tolerable. In fact, but FIFA is complicit, and we're calling out FIFA. And I keep saying in other stations I've said, under apartheid, they used to take away activists who were very strong in the education sector. They used to move them away to a Dorpy or Plateland place so they're not in the city. But what happened? They politicized that small area where they were moved to. Similarly, I know Besiktas, the Turkish team, is going to play against Maccabi Haifa. They already said, hey, there'll be problems. Can you move this to a neutral venue? There are no neutral venues in the world anymore. The only neutral venues would be, if you like, in the States or some parts of the UK. But the UK, everywhere, people support Palestine, and they want an end to the violence. They want an end to the genocide. They want an end to the ethnic cleansing, and they want Israel to pay for what it has done.
Now, just seeing, FIFA, it acted with no hesitation against Russia. And now seeing that also PSA has supported the application by Palestine to have Israel kicked out of FIFA. What do you make of these current events?
I mean, FIFA, it's going to be a long struggle. Every time there was going to be a decision, I think in August, then they kick it down the line. Basically, they're playing for touch. They're playing for, they wanted Israel to play these games. But the leadership of FIFA are not honorable people. We have to do to them what we did against apartheid. Our comrades in New Zealand, right? John Minto and others who are active in Palestine today basically used to go and occupy playing fields, stop football, rugby matches there. This is where the game's going to be at, and FIFA will be responsible when people die trying to play sport. We've asked FIFA to kick out Israel, but they want to show they support Israel, but they don't support Russia. Macron was at the match last night when Israel was playing against France, right? And Macron, would he be there if Russian individuals were playing? No, he wouldn't. And it's that double standard that irks us, because there's one standard for Israel and another for the rest of the world. The same applies not only in FIFA, in the ICC. This is why I think Mr. Khan is so troubled to prosecute Netanyahu and Golan. Netanyahu, they killed all the other co-accused that the ICC wanted to charge, right? They claim they killed Mohammed Daif. They killed, in Tehran, Hania was killed, right? They killed all those people. And Sinwar was killed recently fighting, not hiding, but fighting. So Netanyahu has killed all his co-accused. We are wondering why the ICC are not going forward to prosecute those people who are perpetuating and perpetrating a genocide.
Mr. Hassen, what would be your closing remarks considering our conversation tonight?
Football, sports, all that is good. We cannot only be thinking of serious things, but we cannot play with those who kill others. Because sports means it's a time for us to recreate, a time for us to take time out, to refresh ourselves. And we have to do it with a conscience. FIFA has to do the right thing and kick out Zionist Israel from FIFA. And we will be there. And we encourage every match they play should be a disruption.
Jazakallah so much, Mr. Hassen, for joining us this evening and just shedding light on what's currently happening. And, it was quite interesting that in your first point, you really highlighted something that we should never forget in terms of how, the media will continue playing a narrative that best suits them, and the narrative that does not actually speak to truth, to what's seen or rather what's experienced by the people of Palestine or just pro-Palestinian protesters.
My sister, thank you for what you do, because you are giving the view that BBC and others don't give. And this is important because you are an honest witness. The community organizations, the community media have greater integrity than most of the Western media, Sky News, BBC, all of them. Of course, only Al Jazeera has done us proud. Thank you for your work.
Jazakallah so much. Viewers at home, that was Mr. Hassen Lorgat, who is from the Palestine Solidarity Alliance, shedding light on the many, many things that we have been seeing. And I think if you're pro-Palestinian, you definitely understand that, you know what, all that we see nowadays is not necessarily the truth, especially one that is speaking ill against, you know, Palestinian people in that case. But viewers at home, that's where we close it off for now.